Welcome to On Second Thought. I'm John Price, and I'm here with our pastor, Jay Hackett, where every week we take a deeper dive into life at Peachtree Corners Baptist Church. Whether we're talking about the latest sermon, upcoming events, or just whatever's on Jay's mind, this is your insider look at our church, our staff, and what makes PCBC your church on the corner. So join our conversation as we help you find community, purpose, and growth. Let's get into it. Hello and welcome to On Second Thought. This is episode 50. 50. I feel like there should be like digital confetti and horns. So let's just be quiet for a second and we'll have Todd add that in.
Just a moment of silence.
Yeah. I mean, it won't be silent because he'll add this in.
Yes.
Or it'll be just silent as we sit here. So.
Episode 50.
50. All right.
All
Good
right.
stuff. We have been off for a little bit. I've been off for quite a while, but I think 3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yeah.
Been out of the country. It's been crazy.
Yes.
Still adjusting. I'm still in the bed by 8 every evening and waking up somewhere between 4 and 5:30. So you get a lot done, though, when you wake up at 5:30 in the morning.
Yep.
I don't want to continue doing that.
Not fun.
Not that I don't want to get things done. I'm just saying in general, I don't want to wake up that early to
Yeah, what I found is you get a lot done early. However, by the time noon rolls around, it's just like, okay, I'm done.
It's done. Yeah. I mean, early afternoon, you're dead. Hit the wall. It's over.
Yeah.
And you're like, all right, I'm going home.
Yeah.
So,
No, I woke up at 3:30 this morning. I was like, I'm awake. And so I was real nervous about, am I going to be dead for the recording or
for when we get to this?
Couple cups of coffee, I'm okay.
All right, good.
Yeah, so tell us about the trip.
Trip was amazing. We'd done some different things this time. So the Greece trip was the main expedition that we were going on, and it
50 people, 51 people.
So 51 people that signed up for the Greece trip, and then 30 of those 51 signed up for the pre-trip as well as the post-trip. And so we added Rome on the front end. So we spent the first 5 days in Rome and kind of, the old leadership model of begin with the end in mind. It's kind of one of those things that was rolling through my head. And so we started in Rome. And so kind of where everything ended as Paul wanted to get there. And then we flew from Rome to Thessalonica. And we spent 4 or 5 days there in Thessalonica. Then we flew down to Athens, and we spent 4 or 5 days there in Athens. And then half the group, or 20 of the people, ended up leaving. And then the other 30 of us ended up taking some tours out to Santorini for a couple of days. And it was kind of a nice relaxation on the last 4 or 5 days that we were together. We'd had a lot of stuff that was happening while we were there, always on a bus, traveling to different locations, different places. But it was just really neat to kind of get some perspective of seeing, okay, here's where Paul would have come into Macedonia, and here's where he first steps foot on soil here in Europe and began to share the gospel. And then having Lydia, the one that was the maker of purple garments, and came to find out that came from little snails. And so you could get about a thimble size by squeezing the snail. And so to have a garment that was completely purple, only the rich could have afforded it because it was so time consuming.
A lot of snails lost their lives.
A lot of snails lost their lives so that you could wear that jacket, whatever it was. But it was neat to hear that, to see some of those kind of little, those aren't things you really consider very often. Okay, well, just think.
Hardly ever.
She finally got some purple fabric, But it was hard to get some of these things. But Lydia being the first convert, and so it was neat to go there, and a lot of churches, a lot of cathedrals and stuff that were named after certain individuals and certain things. Very Greek Orthodox, as you can imagine, in Greece. 94% claim to be Greek Orthodox Christians. Now we were told, just like in the States, there are those who claim to be, and then there's who are practicing. Culturally,
Christians.
yeah. Yes. But the majority of the people in Greece would consider themselves to be Greek Orthodox. And but it was just really neat to be in some of these places, and what was cool was I got 5 to 10 minutes at each spot to kind of just open up, and we would read from Acts, chapter 16, 17, 18, and then we talk about here's what Paul did while we were here at Philippi, or here's what happened with this scenario. And one of the things that was really neat was we were there in Corinth, and we're kind of walking through some of the old ruins, and I loved it because our guide, she was Greek Orthodox, but solid believer. Her name was Aliki, and she was like, one of the things that you had to think about was, she goes, you don't talk about it much, but there were temple prostitutes back in the time here at Corinth. And he said, basically families would sell, their kids into this. And she goes, but you could always tell who the temple prostitutes were because their heads would be shaved. And so as they're sold into slavery, they would shave their heads and they would put them into this, kind of a thing, so you could tell who the prostitutes were. And then she said their sandals actually said, "Follow me," underneath them. So as they would walk, they're right there at a port. And so these guys, needless to say, that had been out for a long time were coming to port, and they were definitely looking to have a little fun. And so they would find these temple prostitutes and all this stuff. I'm like, I've never heard a sermon, really preached on the temple prostitutes themselves. Maybe one week this summer that you're preaching, I'll let you take that passage and unpack it. But all of that to say this is where I'm going with this story. She said, now out of this in Corinth, Paul says, that women should keep their head covered. And she said, we play with that so many different ways in, 2026. She said, but the reality is, if you think about Paul's heart, what Paul was saying was this. He goes, he was always thinking about the less mature believer. And he said, here's what I want you to do. I want every woman to have their head covered so that you're not sitting there trying to figure out, is she the prostitute or they, you know what I'm saying? And so it's like everybody felt comfortable when they came to the church. We all have a past, right? And so if you walk in as a female and you're bald, you've got some people already staring at you, looking at you going, oh, I can't believe that's who you were, or I can't believe that defined you, right? Identity being so big. But then Paul would say, he goes, listen, this is what I want you to do. Cover everybody's head. That way you don't have to worry about who was this or who was that, because we all have our stuff. And, I was a persecutor of Christians prior to coming to Christ. And when we come here, it's not about us, it's about him. And I thought, man, what a perspective that I'd never, being in my Western world, had never sat there and said, why did Paul say he wanted everybody to have their head covered? And, all these different things that we want to jump into today and make a big deal about and think it's all sexist and what Paul's saying and doing.
Right.
And,
right. Yeah, that's a lot of people on the surface in our culture who read the New Testament come away with, oh, they were misogynistic.
Absolutely.
And actually, Jesus and Paul and the early church gave women far more dignity
100%
than they had in the culture at the time. And
Correct.
So
just getting that perspective
Right.
was like, I'd never thought about it,
yeah.
like that to really consider it. And that's not even something that would cross our minds, but those kind of things were they were great little fillers, if you will, that kind of filled in some areas in Scripture. Like, I never even thought about that, but how awesome that Paul was so mindful of it that he was like, look, let's not focus on these other things,
Right.
because we like to judge people and we like to find out, oh, that's you or that's whatever. But Paul was just like, no, well, let's let this be about Jesus and not anything else. And we want people to feel the comfort of coming to Christ, and he's the one that changes, right? Yeah. It's not us. He's the one that transforms. And so it was a powerful trip. And I said Sunday, it was different in the fact that you're following the footsteps of a person. It's different when you're in Israel. It's different when you're sitting there thinking about Jesus and my Savior who sacrificed for me. And I'm walking the Via Dolorosa. I'm walking, all these different places. I'm out here where he would have preached. It was different from Paul, but you saw just the passion that he had, and his commitment to go, man, I'm taking the gospel everywhere. And, I'm going to do whatever it takes. And just the passion he had for those people. He wasn't there very long in certain places, but yet had developed such a love for those people that he was like, man, I long to be back with you. Man, I love how God's getting you and showing you, revealing himself to you. And I want to be a part of that,
Well, and the evidence of transformation that God did, that Paul, like you said, was, first he persecuted, but, even before that had been trained and grown up under this prejudice that, the Gentiles are less than, the prayer of God. I thank you that I'm not a Gentile. I thank you that I'm not a woman. I thank you that I'm not a dog. That idea of the church and the cross brought dignity to everyone.
Correct.
That even the fellowship meals that when believers would gather together, that was actually a common practice in that culture. Usually different trades would get together and someone would host and they would bring in a speaker or they would talk about a certain topic. So the church kind of co-opted that idea. However, the main difference is in the church's fellowship meals, you might have a slave sitting next to a very well-known and wealthy person in the community. And they kind of were all brothers and sisters. And that Paul had this heart for people that he had been trained to hate.
Correct.
Shows the way that Christ can transform our lives. Yeah.
Just so many different places and things that we did were, the steps at Mars Hill. You're sitting there just going, this is the coolest thing ever. Those are the steps they use. We couldn't use them because they're kind of, blocked off and done differently. But you're sitting there and you see that. I think there's a picture of it that Todd will have to throw in with this. But just that thought of going, man, Paul was up right there, the Acropolis. And as he was talking up there, they were like, hey, come down here and share this with some of the other guys, because that's what the guys love to do, sit around and talk about stuff they know, right? It's just kind of one of those moments. And they're like, we want you to come down and share this with us. And, not that they were all convinced of it, even as Paul was telling them it, but it was
they
just
liked
neat
hearing new ideas.
Yeah, what's the new idea? What's the latest and the greatest?
Right.
And how can we be a part of that too? And just talking about, hey, I saw there's a statue you have to an unknown God. Here's what I want to do. I want to tell you about who that God is. And just for ways for us, I shared there, I got to share my devotional, and I was like, how do we look to connect with people, right? I think sometimes we want to just condemn, and it's like condemnation never starts well. Yeah, it's like, let me find a common ground. Hey, I see that you guys are very, open and intelligent. You're searching for something.
Yeah.
And there's so many ways that we can connect with people that we're like, oh yeah, you watch that show or you like this or, a compliment that leads to a connection.
Yeah.
Of some sort.
And isn't it interesting that, that there are some Christians today who have made their platform on, just berating other religions and, saying why these are wrong. And Jesus didn't do that. Paul didn't do that. They just presented the truth.
Absolutely.
And man, I tell you, the way that our Christian culture has made it such a us versus them, a militant, we're going to have smugness and show you where you're wrong. Yeah. That simply wasn't something that we got from Scripture.
No.
Yeah. So Paul
that
found that connection, that identity.
Yeah. He found, and then just clearly laid it out, and then gave them an opportunity to respond to it. And so, that's kind of was the takeaway at that point. I was like, guys, where are we doing those three things?
Yeah.
How are we connecting with people? How are we being clear with people? And then how are we calling them to a response?
Yeah.
And it may be those three things may not always get to happen in one sitting, and that's the thing where I love the idea of true discipleship is just, hey, let me connect with somebody and then look for those opportunities to continue to be clear with the gospel of who Jesus is, of what he desires, and then call them to make their own decision.
Yeah.
And so that's just the joy of what God's given us, what Paul did beautifully. And so I think as we walked away, I was like, how do we live a life of impact? That will be way outliving us, and it'll really make some differences. And that's what kind of led to this whole Unshakable series. As you look back at Paul's life and kind of go, this man just made the decision that I'm going to do everything to the glory of God. And I'm not going to worry about my past. I'm not going to worry about my pedigree. I'm not going to worry about, all these things are what they are. And if I could use my pedigree and it helps get me in front of somebody, I'll use it.
Yeah.
But I'm not leading with that. I'm going to look for ways to connect with people and share the gospel. And I think as we live lives that become unshakable, it means I'm very confident in who I am in Christ. I know who he's made me to be. And I'm going to be clear with my life being something that represents him. And so just an exciting kind of a opportunity. It's a great trip. Highly recommend if anybody gets to do that and be a part of it in the future.
And you got to do it with Griffin.
I got to do it with my 19-year-old, which was it was great. And everybody loved her. I mean, it was one of those things where, I told her, she was like, Dad, is there anybody, like my age going on this trip? I said, sweetheart, I'm the closest to your age on this trip. Because who's got 18 days to just walk away and go,
and the finances.
And the finances to pay to go and do those things.
Yeah.
And she's like, well, I guess nobody. But I was like, every one of these people that are on this trip have a grandchild. And they, John, I'm telling you, I mean, she was like with me, but like half the time was not with me because somebody else had grabbed her and they were walking with her.
Yeah.
She got gifts.
Yeah.
I mean, some of these people she got so close with bought her gifts when we were in different places and just were loving on her. They were like, we want you to come back and do this and go with us over here. And, and
that's
so
cool.
She has my personality inside of her, and so she fit right in, had
Yeah.
a blast. And it made it easier on me because I wasn't away from my entire family for 18 days. I had a family member with me, and so it made the trip go a lot smoother. And it only felt like we were gone for like 45 days, I think, when it was all said and done. But
I was gone a little bit during that time as well, and I think you left before I left for a week, and then I was back in the office, and then left for a week, and then
we were back.
Yeah. So you were gone a good bit.
The whole month of April felt like.
And Logan stepped in and did a 3-week series, which is great. But talk about, you mentioned the Unshakable. This is the new series that you started.
Correct.
You want to mention a little bit about maybe, Sunday, the idea of standing firm on solid foundation.
Yeah. No, and so as we're trying to think through, what does it look like? We've been talking about the spiritual warfare that we're up against. That's the whole theme for this year. How do we get geared up to be able to accomplish some of those things? And so just in light of that, kind of went into this idea of what does it look like to really have an unshakable faith?
Yeah.
And it starts with that foundation, right? We looked at the two builders, the two choices that they have. And Jesus tells all of us, we have a choice. You can either build it on me or you can build it on culture or anything else that happens in this world. But guess what? To both of these people, storms are coming. And so when the storm comes, there's only one that's going to be able to stand is the one that's built on me, not the one that's built on anything else.
Yeah.
Although the ground is sinking sand is the old,
Yeah. I had a friend in seminary who lived that out. He grew up in Hawaii, and there was a huge storm. They all had to kind of leave. And when he came back, they were kind of driving through the neighborhood, and all these houses were just gone, just wiped out. And they kind of came around the I don't know if it was something that revealed where their house was, and it was still standing. And they had tied the into the foundation, into the kind of bedrock that was there. Yeah. And so many of the other houses were literally built on sand.
Yeah.
And so just kind of saw that in real life. That was made a big impression, that scripture, that passage.
Oh, 100%.
So
Well, but it's life throws at different stuff at us.
Yes,
The question is, will we still be standing? It doesn't mean things don't hurt. Doesn't mean that we're not still struggling, going through pain. All those things. Yes, but they always tell you never know how strong your faith is until you need it. And when you're walking through some of those things, how do we have that unshakable foundation of going, Christ is my rock?
Yeah.
They said Jesus is the only thing you need. When Jesus is all you have, you understand that Jesus is all you need.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of where this whole thing started. And I said, on a personal level, are we doing these things? And then on a corporate level, are we doing these things? Because we want to have a church that has a legacy, right? That long outlives all of us. And, I'm not just looking for Peachtree Corners while I get to be the pastor or while I serve here. I want it to be something that is very successful, if you will, with sharing the gospel and moving forward and going forward. And so, just talk about Sunday. Hey, we're going to continue to make changes. We're going to see some new things that are happening. We're working on bathrooms. We're working on, parking lots. We're doing carpet in the preschool. We've upgraded a lot of security things around here. Maybe you've seen some of the doors, now they have to have a security card, or we can open them up remotely, doing some different things that way.
Those are wonderful.
Which are, it was so funny. I got a phone call while I was sitting in Greece, and it was a gentleman that goes here, but he also does some stuff with Cornerstone. And he goes, "Hey, quick question." He goes, "How do I gain access to the pavilion?" He said, "I need something from the pavilion." And I was like, "Are you at the pavilion right now?" And he goes, "I am." So I opened up my app, sitting in Greece, hit unlock, and he got to get into the pavilion for me on a different other side of the world. And I was like, how cool is this that technology allows us to have this freedom, to do this? And I said, he goes, what are you doing right now? And I said, dude, it's 9 p.m. I'm sitting in Greece and, and just enjoying the beauty of this evening. And he goes, well, dude, let me call somebody else. And I was like, no, I want to see if this works. And I hit the button and he goes, I'm in. And I was like, how cool is that?
Yeah.
That we get to, got to be a part of that.
It's cool whether you're in Greece or I'm on the other side of the building in the workshop, and people are like, hey, could you let me in the fellowship hall? So nice. I mean, it is such a time saver.
It is. And those things they're awesome to be able to have. But for us, it's like, okay, how do we keep the gospel moving forward? Right. We don't just do this stuff to do this stuff. We're doing this so that we can have longevity. We can get ahead of things that are happening and become relevant with the gospel to keep it as in front of people as possible. And I said Sunday, we're not doing a traditional capital campaign on this thing that I'm asking for $2 million and here's all the things that we're doing. Our people have been very, very generous over these last several years, and God has put us in a position where we can do a lot of this stuff right now, with the money that we have. And I'm so thankful for that. And all I just said Sunday was, let's keep being generous. Let's keep taking our step forward. Let's be faithful in our giving, and let's give above and beyond. And, happy to say that on Monday, I got an email and we received our first gift that was above and beyond the tithe, and it was a $100,000 gift.
Awesome.
And I'm like, praise God,
So my check went through.
Your check did go through, and I'm very happy for that, John. Thank you.
Right.
And it was just given to J. Hackett Ministries, and I really appreciated that just on a personal
needy children,
level.
Yours.
Needy children of mine. Yeah. But, and it's just, look, if God's provided opportunities, I know some have the gift of giving. It's in Scripture, and it's like, look, hey, I want to be a part of this. Well, then I encourage you to give and go, hey, you know what? I really want to help move this thing forward and update some things in our kids' ministry and the student ministry, different things around here that we'll be able to see.
It's kind of nuanced. I mean, some are overtly evangelistic. I mean, obviously, well, this is for the children's ministry or the youth ministry. Some are a little more, subtle. I mean, like you mentioned the door locks, that speaks not just to convenience, but security.
Security, 100%.
And so, security, different things like, the bathrooms may seem like, is that really important? But people first-time guests decide whether or not they're going to come back within the first 5 minutes, 5 to 7 minutes. And sometimes the bathroom or trash on the ground or whether or not they're greeted. Now, thank goodness, that's one of the top things that we hear are the greeters. jumping on folks and making them feel welcome. So
it's so cool.
Yeah.
So very excited about some of the things that are going on. And hopefully as people see that, they get more excited about it and go, hey, yeah, we want to be a part of what God's doing. And, I want to put up some, I don't know, display boards, if you will, of kind of what restrooms will look like, of what things, to get people excited about going, oh, that's so cool. I love that. I hadn't even thought about us doing that, or didn't even think about the need of doing that, because sometimes we become nose blind, to things around our house, around, we just get used to seeing it all the time. And God continues to bless, and we're continuing to reach new people. And I just want us to continue to have that and be ahead of it rather than reacting to all the different things.
Yeah. So we, Sunday, had a membership interview. The week before that, we recognized our new members of the previous quarter.
Nice.
We're also recognizing growth through this Sunday. It's Mother's Day, and so we're having not child dedication. I made that mistake, but parent dedication.
Yes.
That the parents are dedicating or committing to raise their children in the church, leading them in the way of Christian life, modeling what that looks like. And
so at the end of our service on Sunday, after the invitation and everything's going, then we will celebrate those families. We have 8 families and 18 kids that are going to be part of that parent dedication this weekend. So very excited about that. Some of the kids are older, just because they've never been a part of a church that has done this, and they really wanted to include their kids. And I was talking to Susan about it, and I was like, so how old? And she's like, 30, 31. I'm joking. But, some of our children will be a part of that. And I think it'll be just a special time of us as a church coming alongside of them and celebrating. And so we're also going to be celebrating with New Destiny, which Chris Ladson and I, we've known New Destiny forever. And so they're going to be here with us. They use our facility to baptize. And so Chris will have some of his folks this Sunday to be able to baptize. And so anytime we can come alongside and celebrate with the fellow congregation some of the things that they're doing, I think it's just a time to celebrate the family of God. And so we'll have baptism, we'll have parent dedication. We'll be talking about having that unshakable home this week. And so very excited to kind of see all those things come together. And it's crazy to me how quickly these things are happening. The following week is graduation Sunday. So it's our recognition of our students and just some of the accomplishments, the different things that are going on there. And so
kind of a student-led
that morning.
Worship.
Yeah. So Logan and Sarah and Grady have all 3 been working. Sarah mostly on the music side of things.
Right.
But they've really been working with their students. And so we will have a predominantly student-led band that will lead us that morning. And then the kids will be involved in the whole service. So with the welcome, with the, hosting of the day, all of that will be student-led. We're seeing if they'll get here to greet. And so Logan's really working hard on having some students that are out front greeting. But, they've really poured into so much of their students serving. And so right now on Wednesday nights, he's got 8th graders that are speaking, sharing their testimonies with the middle school. He's got seniors that are sharing their testimonies with the high school, and just, stepping in to serving and to being a part of ministry, that it's a lifestyle. He said we teach them to fall in love with Jesus and follow him for the rest of their life. And so, it starts now. And so how do we continue to invest in that? So it'll be a fun day to celebrate that. Logan will be preaching there on the 17th.
We're doing the kitchen team. We're done with our Wednesday night meals for the semester. That ended very well. And then this week.
Burgers and dogs last week.
That's
delicious, by the way.
Yeah, they were. They got to add up. But Fred is doing his fundraiser for
barbecue right now.
Yielded
Men.
Yeah. And so if this should drop on Thursday morning, and so there's still time to get barbecue.
He got 1,000 pounds of barbecue.
Oh, I know.
This go round.
I know. It is the walk-in fridge and freezer. Everything is full.
Is packed.
Packed. Yeah.
Hedia
on our kitchen team can't always be there on Wednesday nights, but she comes in the mornings and does deep cleaning. I was like, let's hold off
Don't come
until
this week.
after they get done, because my goodness, there's barbecue
Wow.
stuff everywhere. But no, it's great stuff. People look forward to this. But we're going to be doing the breakfast for the seniors that day on the 17th. So we'll be doing waffles and eggs and all the. That's something my team does well, and so we're looking forward to that.
That's awesome.
We're also looking forward to the break this summer, and so I get to spend a little more time with the craftsmen, and hopefully we get a little more traction in some of the projects that the ministries have asked us to do.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to that as well. But we have on May 24th. We have the ice cream truck.
Ice cream truck. That's right. So it's our summer kickoff.
Yes.
One of the things that I love that we've done 3 years now, I guess,
Yeah.
is that Sunday, the ice cream truck's here. So as you come out of life group hour,
I'm pretty sure we got enough sunglasses as well.
We may have some sunglasses left over that we can share from the last go round.
Yeah.
But yeah, it'll be fun just to kind of kick off our summer. That's Memorial Day weekend. And, and then I know things get crazy around here, people getting going all kinds of places, but you'll be hearing us start saying all the time, in town, in church.
Yeah.
And, just appreciate how much we did that this past summer, that, hey, if we are in town, let's be a part of what God's doing.
And plenty of opportunities for ministry.
Yeah.
A lot of times people's schedules are so busy, they can't necessarily commit to ongoing weekly recurring ministry, but some of the event ministry they can, whether it's taking a little time of vacation or just creating some margin, because we have VBS coming up the first week of June. We have youth summer camp.
Correct.
We just have different opportunities throughout
a lot of things
the summer. Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
Mallory and them, they said they had a great turnout Sunday night.
Yes.
So had 180 volunteers that have signed up for VBS right now.
Yeah, could still take more.
Can still take more, absolutely. But it's just neat to kind of watch people stepping up and saying, you know what, I really love being a part of this, and how can I serve? What can I do? And she said, she's like, well, what would you like to do? I'll do whatever you need me to do. And she's like, okay, that's great. What would you like to do? Because I don't want this to be, misery for you for 5 days as you're hanging out with these kids. But I want it to be something you love doing.
Right.
As well as, it
But to have that attitude, man.
Oh, that attitude's fantastic.
You don't always get that.
No, you do not.
I mean, sometimes it's pulling teeth.
Yeah.
But like you said, our folks are generous with their resources, with their time. And so and God blesses that.
Oh, he does. He does 100%.
When we minister, we get to use our gifts and our passions and see him show up. So
that's awesome.
Yeah. It's good seeing you.
It's good to be back, man. It's
Catching
good to
up
see
again.
You too. I've missed you, bro.
I know. We were spending almost every day together working on your house. Thank God that's done now. And so that's why I took some time off, is to regain some sanity. But I'm looking forward to kind of getting back into, kind of that more regular rhythm.
Yes.
Rhythm.
Right into summer.
Right into summer when it
which
changes
is
all again.
Very irregular. But,
yeah.
A whole lot of fun, though.
Yeah.
So can't wait.
Well, thank you. Thank you for joining us on our 50th episode. We will be back again, hopefully next week. But thank you for being a part of this episode. Thank you for being a part of PCBC. It is your generosity, your involvement that allows us to see just great things happen in our church and in the community and around the world. So have a great day and God bless. Well, that's it for this episode of On Second Thought. Thanks for hanging out with us. If you enjoyed the conversation, be sure to like, subscribe, and share this with a friend. If you have a question or thought, drop it in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. If you'd like to find out more about your church on the corner, check us out at pcbchurch.org. We'll be back next week with more. So until then, have a great week and God bless.